Hi, I'm Councilmember Dawn Luedtke, and today we're going to talk about the Commission for Accreditation of Law Enforcement Agencies, otherwise known as CALEA. CALEA started in 1979, and we're really excited because Montgomery County Police Department is celebrating its 30th anniversary of CALEA certification. So we'll visit here today at police headquarters, and we're also going out to the Public Safety Training Academy. Let's talk a little bit about how long ago the department finally, or not finally, but originally, I should say, attained its accreditation.
So we are currently celebrating the 30th year. So we got our original accreditation back in 1993. So that's tremendous if you're talking about being able to maintain something for any amount of time, especially something of that caliber.
And as I understand it, there's a couple different levels of accreditation with CALEA. Could you talk a little bit about the level that Montgomery County Police Department has?
Sure, we are with the Law Enforcement Agency Tier 1. They have 4 total. They've got them for the training academies, they have them for campus security and for communications. So we do ours through the law enforcement. We're Tier 1. That gives us approximately 183 standards that we have to maintain with that.
Let's talk about what it means to maintain those 183 standards. Tell us a little bit about your work in particular, because this is your wheelhouse.
So I'm the CALEA Accreditation Manager. So my sole responsibility and purpose here is I make sure that all of the standards are being met, which involves me dealing with a lot of individuals, everybody in the department and the agency, making sure that there's files that are maintained, procedures, policies, that everything is up to speed. The CALEA accreditation is actually a 4-year process. And the 4th year, which we are starting now, that's going to have both an on-site and a virtual online component. We are finishing up our year 3 review. So I'm dealing with an assessor right now who's going through our files, is interviewing individuals, and then we submit all that information to them. What I have here broken down, it's a 4-year cycle, and these are all the standards that are kind of fleshed out into their individual components. There is an actual conference that we would have to go and speak in front of a panel to receive that accreditation, and then that would be for another 4 years. However, it's not a one and done thing.
Right.
The way that it is set up is that annually you do have to do web-based assessments, and with that, the assessors that they select will pick a variety of files, and they'll come and look to make sure that we're in compliance, and that way we ensure that we're maintaining this accreditation for the entire time. It's not just, like I said, once every 4 years and then don't worry about it.
And so that requires ongoing submission of documentation to them, and I believe that's done electronically, correct?
Yes, along with the documentation, there are reports that we have to submit to them. So aside from looking at things like policies, like use of force reports, critical incidents, we have to sit there and report things like demographics, not just of the agency, but also of the county. Talking about things such as hiring standards, personnel, canine, just anything at all that you can think of. Those are all things that are looked at. So it's a very comprehensive thing. It's not just, hey, let's look at this document and, based on that. So they're really looking at how the police department integrates as a whole within the community.
Right, so it's the paper, the practice, the culture, and the impact. That's really comprehensive, and no wonder this is a full-time job.
It can be a little intimidating.
Yes, well, I want to thank you for sharing all that with us today.
Absolutely, thank you so much for speaking to me.
We are here to talk about CALEA, and that it started in 1979.
Yes.
But when it was put together, there were a bunch of different law enforcement related entities that came together to form CALEA. Could you talk to me a little bit about who they were?
It was formed in 1979 by 4 major organizations, which are IACP, the International Association of Chiefs of Police, the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Officers, the National Sheriff's Association, and the Police Executive Research Forum, PERF. And Montgomery County Police has had the distinct honor to have been a part of that, of CALEA, for the last 30 years now. CALEA serves as a baseline that for Montgomery County Police as an overall agency, we always strive to go well beyond just those baseline measurements or metrics. So some of the things that we've had in place for quite some time are de-escalation techniques. Our ICAT, which is Integrated Communication Assessment Threat, And that's just how to deal with and mitigate a crisis situation. We've been doing reality-based training with body-worn cameras. Our standard and policy is well beyond what CALEA has set as their standards.
The department has had body-worn cameras for a substantial amount of time.
We have.
For all of its public-facing officers.
Yes, all our forward-facing officers have. That's part of our policy that they have to. And now we've even integrated it that when they're off duty, but while wearing the uniform, they must activate and use their body-worn camera system.
And in terms of the training that's done here, and I know I've been lucky enough to be able to come and teach here myself in my prior work, but you have a bunch of courses that are taught by sworn law enforcement officers, but you also have a lot of classes that are part of both the training academy and in-service that are taught by non-sworn individuals.
We most certainly do. We have a lot of subject matter experts that come in. We have a great partnership with our state's attorney's office. We've had that partnership established for a number of years now where they come in and they teach our entry-level training, which are our recruits, as well as our in-service training, which are our incumbent officers, all new legislation updates where we can understand that and apply that and have a good and clear understanding.
And both in-service training and what the academy provides covers both sort of what people would think of as classroom learning and also a lot of practical learning and scenarios-based training.
Yes.
So how much of the curriculum for the academy is scenarios-based training?
So we try to have a very good mixture of that. It's what we call our reality-based training. We integrate that, especially with our de-escalation and use of force training to line up with that new legislature that came out in recent years, which completely redefined use of force for us as necessary and proportional now. So we do a lot of that because it's very important that we provide that substantial amount of training, right? Because CALEA sets the standards, but what's more important than that is the fact that we adhere to those and that we enforce that. And that's what gives us that legitimacy within the community. It's great.
I want to thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you.
So we're outside with Sergeant John Mullaney here at the driving instruction course for the Training Academy. So can you tell us a little bit about what's going on out here today?
Yes, ma'am. So the recruits go through 56 hours of emergency vehicle operator course training, where they learn everything from defensive cone courses to learn vehicle handling procedures, learn the dimensions of the car to try to reduce accidents, and then they also learn high-speed driving. So they'll learn how to run good lines on a track and then visualize those lines on a street so that way they can keep up with a suspect that they are pursuing or while they're driving pursuit. Over half of our fallen officers are driving related, so we put a heavy emphasis on making sure the recruits and the incumbent officers get the best training they can before they hit the street.
How many hours of training do they get on that while they're here in the academy?
Okay, so they get 56 hours while they're in the academy, and probably 50 of it is behind the wheel driving. And then once they come back as an incumbent officer, they go through every other year, they'll go through a 4-hour recert class. Or if they get issued a new car to them, we call it new car class, they come back and they learn about the new features because they may be going from a 10-year-old car to a brand new car.
It handles differently.
It handles differently, it's got different cameras, and they have to learn the limitations of those cameras and the sensors that are in the car.
And then I know we didn't go up to visit today, but there is a portion of this course where you can simulate icy roads. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
So we have a polished concrete skid pan. It's about 100 yards, so think of like a football field. It has the same coefficient of friction of ice, so all we have to do is get it wet, and we can drive any of our patrol cars on it. So it is a fantastic capability to have at this facility to train our folks to be able to drive their take-home cars onto the track, onto the skid pan, onto the skills pad here, and then take it home.
It's a good reminder of how much you have to be prepared to hop in no matter what the scene calls for. We've been talking about what it means for the department to be celebrating 30 years of CALEA accreditation. So could you talk to us a little bit about that and what that means for you, having been a member of the department for all those years?
It's fabulous for us. I mean, it's this 30 years and how time flies. I remember when we went through this in 1993, which was early in my career, and really focusing on the standards and having inspectors come in and assessors, looking at the department from top to the bottom, and really, setting those standards in place that we have really worked hard at maintaining for 30 years, and it's not an easy task.
Right.
Yeah, but I think it shows that this department has always been willing to be out front and moving forward, and CALEA helps us to get there.
And I know part of that too is best practices from across the country and internationally, and also knowing that, of course, we've had our own police reform movement here in the US, specifically here in Maryland with the state legislation that passed in 2021. But I know that the department's done a lot to be forward-thinking in 21st century law enforcement for a long time. So would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that as we look at many of the different objectives that we have to focus on, having those policies that have been consistent and working with our community, and they've been growing over time. It's not we set them in place in the beginning and that was the end of it. Right. We've been ever changing them over the years. And so CALEA, I think, also just helps us to really, be on top of those issues and manage everything from top to the bottom in so many ways, whether it's our crime lab, whether it's our inspections for our stations, our officers, and looking at all of our policies that are significant.
I use the term community policing model. I know you all do too, very frequently, but I'm not always clear that everybody knows what that means. So could you talk to us a little bit about why the community policing model is so important?
Well, it's important because to me, it really warrants us to have a partnership. The overall model that we utilize, that our officers understand what's the concept of community partnerships and working and really to focus on the public safety. So much of that engagement, I think that's the key there. And so I think as we continue to move forward and try to educate community on what community policing is, as a partner, I think that will help us to grow better relationships in the future.
And that's really important to making sure people understand that you're not just there during a call for an emergency, that you're there and connected to the community and know the people in it and know the businesses in it, and try to help solve problems.
Absolutely.
Before they even start.
Before they start.
They start.
We want to focus as much on prevention as we do as solving crimes as they've happened. We do our very best to have that outreach in order to really educate and help them to prevent them from being a victim.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate your time here
Thank
today.
you.
Congratulations on the anniversary.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Councilmember. Thank you.
It's been great being able to talk to folks today about what it means to be certified through CALEA and the 30th anniversary of that for this department. I want to thank Captain Ian Clark, Lieutenant Tanisha Jensen, and Sergeant John Mullaney for helping us out today, along with Chief Jones for providing us lots of valuable information, not just about what CALEA certification means and accreditation means, but about all the things that our department does to go above and beyond.